I'm Kristen. My name is Kristen. From Long Island, New York. I'm in Brooklyn now. No, I don't think I quite fit in there. I think it's kind of like yacht rock kind of feeling. Everyone has their Mercedes and their BMWs. I remember when I was in high school, I was a spoiled brat. When I was in high school, there's a circle, and you all wait for your parents to come pick you up. And it's a row of like shiny new Acuras and Lexuses and Mercedes, anything that you could imagine that's over like $100,000. And my dad would come and pick me up in this little two-door Honda with the purple interior, one door. And I remember thinking, ugh, Dad, so embarrassing. But I grew out of that. I moved to Richmond, Virginia, and got a taste of the real life. No, typical. I went to school in Virginia. My parents are typical nuclear family. My dad is a CPA. He stays in his office and makes money, and then my mom is crafty and loves helping people. Oh, I love it. I love the South. It's slower paced, and Richmond, Virginia, they have the James River that flows throughout the entire city. So in the summer, you can pick all of these different places to go hang out with your friends during the day. So you can go to Pony Pastures, you can go to Texas Beach, which is kind of like a little bit of a hike, and you can pick different rocks to sit on, and there's Pipeline, which is literally a pipeline in the woods, and that's where the water's a little bit rougher, and it's kind of like a earth jacuzzi, mother-made jacuzzi.
Do you miss it?
Oh, definitely. I moved back up in May, and I miss Virginia a lot.
Are you thinking about going back?
No, it's too small. I have to do bigger things. It's too small and slow, but it's also hard to get a job there because there's such an atmosphere of booming art scene that you need to be incredibly talented to get there. Usually people are afraid to come to New York because they're afraid that they're not going to make it, but there's so many more opportunities to do something. I think I want to do advertising, but try to not be evil, maintain my morality.
Have you ever acted before?
A little bit, but that was my dream when I was younger, to be a famous actress.
Why did it change?
I like being behind the camera mostly. I like telling the stories or finding the stories to tell, rather than rubbing my own ego. I like that you get to put yourself in different shoes. One day you can be brainstorming for how to bring out the personality in, a toilet paper or a chocolate bar. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to CFOs of big companies, or are you talking to people? But generally what I find is whether you make $200,000 or $1, we all have the same wants and needs. So telling those stories, it's just about finding what that need is. So I want to try. I think technology is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I feel like there needs to be like tent poles of morality, people who are working in these evil businesses to uphold, authentic storytelling. So if advertising is only getting bigger and bigger in this technological atmosphere, people can trust us.
I agree. Okay.
I tend to say that I have a southern soul with a northern attitude. I'm very warm and friendly, old lady on the train, here's your seat, open the doors for people. And while not as many people do that here in New York, because there's so many transplants, most people who are here are not from New York. So you still see people taking pictures of these cute kids on the train because they think it's adorable to see that light in their eyes. You still see people offering their seat. I think what's different about a smaller town or southern towns is that you see the same people over and over again. So do you ignore them? Do you say hi in the hallway? Kind of like high school. You see someone you're not quite friends with them. Do you say hi in the hallway? It's kind of that. In New York, you're never going to get a hi or a friendly hello on the street. In Virginia, you're walking home in Jackson Ward, you're going to get a hi because most likely you see them every day. If you go into a coffee shop, you see the same people there, the regulars. I learned to play backgammon from the regulars, and I learned about music from the regulars and got lent books, had philosophical conversations, got my palm read. In New York, I don't know if that would happen. Yeah, I live in Bushwick, and I really like it. My mom was scared. She looked up spot crime. It's like, no, like someone down the block was shot, and the other way someone was stabbed. But it's just a bunch of nice families. And I told my mom every time someone says hello to me or, you know, heckles me, it's not someone like going, ooh, baby. Like the first time in Bushwick when I was going to look at the apartment I'm living in now, it was someone saying, you're beautiful, God bless you. I said, God bless you. Went about our ways. That's not gonna happen all the time, but I feel like it's a neighborhood. I like it a lot. You wouldn't get that living in Manhattan. Absolutely not.
Why not?
I have some coworker friends that live around Midtown. I feel like it's, in Midtown especially, it's all about where you're going, when you're gonna get there, and how you're gonna get there. No, everyone else is in your way. It's not the same in Brooklyn. You get a little bit more of that, we're in the neighborhood. Like when it was snowing and you go to a bar a few blocks away, you know those are neighborhood people. No one's going to Bushwick just to party. Maybe they are, but not in a snowstorm. Mm-hmm. So, since I started working a 9 to 5, I started listening to a lot of punk music. That's what's been on my mind. I'm going through a bit of a punk phase, which I think is quite a dichotomy.
High school when you were younger? This is your first one?
First punk phase. I like all kinds of music, but it's funny to be sitting under fluorescent lights, pushing pencils, so to say, listening to people talk about the man and how to defy him.
Do you think there's a correlation between the job and the punk music?
Yes, absolutely. When you start, I love advertising, but you need to keep hold of what you really want to do. Just like you meet people who work in coffee shops who say they're a writer. You can work a 9 to 5 and still clarify yourself as who you are. You know, I think people don't do that in other places. So I work a 9 to 5, but at heart, I'm still a copywriter. I think that's very interesting. Other states, I feel like you are what you do. In New York, that's not true. You are what you want to do.
And you have to maintain that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that punk keeping me going. I actually never thought I would be living in New York. I'm from Long Island, and the easy jump is to go from Long Island to New York City. But I never wanted to. But I'm here. It's easiest. And I mean, cry me a river. My family's an hour away, and if anything ever goes wrong, I have them to have my back. So yeah. I had a place to stay when I was looking for a place to stay. So I complain, but there's nothing to complain about. I'm single. I don't know. Well, relationships. What about them?
Well, how do you find being single?
I like it, you know? I think I've done the relationship thing. I like being young and independent. I feel like I'm past the phase where I'm like, I'm single, I'm gonna sleep with everyone. I like being single. I like being able to do things alone. I mean, sometimes I'll go on dates, but I'm not like, he's gonna be the one. If anything, I hope he buys me a drink because I'm low in cash, but but usually I'll buy him a drink because I like. I think that's cool for a woman to be able to buy a drink. I have a friend that has been encouraging me to make the first move on things, so I think I'm exploring that area too. I think that's fun, not being the helpless girl. Yes, been in love once.
And what was that experience like?
Tumultuous. It was a roller coaster. It was just like anyone's first love. You're young, you're naive, you don't know what you want, they don't know what they want. But
is there a lesson you learned from it that you took away from it?
I became a really strong person. I was not the same person coming out of that relationship that I was going in. It's actually what took me to the South. He was partly the reason. When I moved to the South, it was mostly because of him. Because I wanted to do something different. I had never been south on 95 other than to go to Jersey for my cousins. So I kind of went there for the adventure, knowing that the relationship would most likely fail at some point. And I was 19, and then it ended like a few months later. But from that, I found this glorious group of friends. I found myself, found a whole new world. I think there's always the point in a relationship where you find yourself asking questions that you ignore their tut-tut answers to. And at a certain point, you finally realize what the meaning is behind their tut-tut answers, if that means anything. I want to be a copywriter for an ad agency in 5 years. I want to be someone important that they look to for answers and take my opinions. I don't know if that just sounds like ego stroking, but I want to be able to have decision-making power creatively and strategically. Oh God, I actually, my friend and I are planning a trip to Sweden next year, and then the year after, we're planning on doing something in Europe, some kind of trip. We want to travel. We don't want to get stuck. I'm going through a quarter-life crisis. I don't want to be just stuck in a career. I want to be able to see the world too. I don't want to wait till I'm old. I want to do it now.
Yeah.
So, something to look forward to.